Is the answer to timeless skin and ageless aesthetics a lot of money and a lot of Botox and fillers? The answer may surprise you. I'm Dr. Alice Mina. Welcome to my channel, The Skin Real, where I give real people real skin education and information so that they can make informed decisions about their skin health. Let's get into it. This is my weekly recap episode where I give listeners my key takeaways from my most recent interview, this time with Dr. Cory Goldberg. If you want to hear the full episode, be sure to check it out. I will link it at the end. I was really thrilled to have Dr. Cory Goldberg on with me this past week. He is a plastic surgeon based out of Toronto, Canada. He also practiced and is board certified in the US as well. And I really love talking with my colleagues in the aesthetic space who are non-dermatologists because we all want sort of the same outcome, but we approach it in slightly different ways based on our training and our background. And so Dr. Goldberg, being a plastic surgeon, definitely has a more surgical approach. But that being said, he also does a lot of non-surgical things in his practice, and he knows the importance of high quality skincare and the importance of skin health, which is so, so key. I think back in the day, a lot of times surgeons didn't really put a lot of emphasis onto the integrity of our skin. And dermatologists maybe were not doing as much surgical procedures, but now there is a ton of overlap between what we call the core four aesthetic fields in medicine. And that's, of course, dermatology, plastic surgery, facial plastic surgery, which is a subspecialty of ENT, and oculoplastic surgery, which is a subspecialty of oculoplastics. And the four core aesthetic specialties, we all bring something unique to the table. We approach things in just slightly different ways. So it is always fun for me to get to pick the brains of my aesthetic colleagues, how they do things. And what I'm loving is that we have sort of the core values, and that is that skin health is paramount and that actually beauty really comes from the inside out. I know that may sound like just a cute little saying that people say, and I'm a dermatologist and I do injectables and fillers and all these other things. How can I really believe that? But I 100% believe that true beauty and aesthetics really does come from the inside out. And I'll tell you why. It's because our skin health is whole body health. You cannot have beautiful skin if you are abusing and mistreating your body, or if you have uncontrolled disease or chronic conditions in your body. It is reflected in your skin. And of course, we can do these external things to improve upon our skin and our appearance and aesthetics. Yes, of course, we can do that. But I like people to think of that as sort of the last 10%. That's sort of the final 10% to get you to the finish line. But the main way you're going to get healthy, beautiful skin is by your lifestyle, your diet, your habits, whether they're healthy or unhealthy. And that really makes up 90% of the work to help you have timeless, ageless looking skin. And unfortunately, though, I think people have that flip. They think that 90% is the skincare, the procedures you get done, and they really don't focus on their actual physical health. And I know, speaking from experience, that it took me until I was about 40 to really focus on my health. And of course, a lot of things are behind that. I think it's just age, thinking you're invincible, you don't need to do these things, but also being in the medical field where we notoriously do not focus on the health of the actual medical students, residents, and doctors. So I think a lot of factors contributed to that. Being young, thinking I was invincible, thinking I didn't need to do all these things. Also starting a family, being new to my profession and wanting to build my practice, all these things go into it. But it wasn't, unfortunately, until I was 40 that I really did realize I'm burning the candles at both ends, and this is not sustainable. And this is partially why I have this podcast, to really spread the message that start early, start sooner than you think. This is going to be so much more impactful than a lot of the things I can do in my office and clinic, even though we can do amazing things nowadays, think of those in office things as the final 10% to get you to crossing the finish line to looking and feeling your best. So, of course, the best advice I could give someone is to start now and to start early because an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. That being said, though, no matter how old you are listening, it's never too late to start. I use this saying a lot. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is today. The best way to look good in your 50s and 60s is to wear sunscreen and to take care of your body in your 20s and 30s. So, establishing healthy habits, the sooner the better. This includes the importance of sleep. Our body needs this. This is not wasted time. This is when our body resets and regenerates. We have oxygen and blood flowing to our organs, including our skin. We have cell turnover. It's so, so important. And too often we see sleep as just a waste of time. I know I used to think that. Diet is super important. And really, you are what you eat. A plant forward diet that has lean protein, high in fruits and vegetables, leafy greens, fibers, and antioxidants is so key. I really love the Mediterranean diet. I think it's a great way to still enjoy a lot of different food groups and not feeling like you are being super restrictive. Usually have higher nutritional value. They haven't had to be transported as far. Making sure that what you're eating looks like the food it came from. If it's super processed and it's strawberry flavored and you don't even see any remnant of a strawberry, it's probably not that healthy. Really, if you can do those things, and start with a healthy diet early, your skin and your whole body will be in so much better shape in your 50s and beyond. I started eating protein recently because I was really craving protein. I'd never craved protein for about 27 years. And I knew that was my body telling me now that I'm older, I do need to boost my protein intake. And I think that message is getting out there as well, that as we age, our muscles start to waste as well. And so we do need to boost that with increased protein. That also brings me to exercise. And when I was younger, I just thought cardio was king and that's all I needed to do. And cardio is wonderful for your cardiovascular system, but don't forget resistance training. And for all the women listening, you are not going to bulk up. You're not going to look like a man if you do resistance training. And I was excited to learn that resistance training doesn't just mean going to a gym and lifting heavy, heavy weights with a barbell. That is not my jam. I don't love that. I don't want to do that. I really prefer things like dance and yoga, Pilates, and I'm loving this exercise called the green now because it is against resistance. But building that muscle is key as well. So don't forget to incorporate that as well. One thing I talked about with Dr. Goldberg was the presence of senescent cells, which they have a cute name in the public called zombie cells. So that's the world of regenerative medicine is really taking off. And of course, this is also taking off in the skin space. And these zombie cells, these senescent cells, are basically one of the key contributors to aging. And researchers are looking at how we can perhaps prevent these and get rid of these senescent cells. Senescent cells are basically just cells that have stopped working, they're stopped dividing. But instead of dying off and disappearing, they're just hanging around. And they're hanging around and they're also signaling bad messages to everyone else. Or it's kind of like that bad friend in the friend group that just sort of poisons the whole group and is just a bad influence. So you want to get rid of them. They're not serving any benefit. And if anything, they're actually harming the other cells around and signaling bad messages to them. So learning about the role of senescent cells and how to get rid of them, I think this is something that's going to be huge in the regenerative space. And of course, make sure you are not just falling for any gimmicks and hype. Right now, this is still in development, but I think we're going to be hearing more about this. And exosomes are one of the ways that can potentially combat these senescent cells, get rid of them, and presumably help improve our health span and our beauty span. We also know that senescent cells are increased from reactive oxygen or free radicals. And one of the big contributors to that is UV radiation from the sun. And I still can't believe this is up for debate, or people say that the UV radiation from the sun is not harmful because we have abundance of data showing that it is. And I see it day in and day out. A revolving door in my office of patients, unfortunately, with skin cancers. And the number one thing I hear them say is, I wish I had known. I wish I had paid more attention or sun protected my skin when I was younger. And now we do know that, right? And we do know the importance of it. And so I just hope that in the next 20, 30, 40 years, we'll start to see some impact of that. If you are looking to have ageless, timeless skin, then sun protection is key. We know that UV radiation from the sun causes actual mutations in our DNA. They form these things called pyrimidine dimers, which is a signature of DNA damage from UV radiation. And we see this in skin cancers. And so we know that the radiation from the sun is actually going into the nucleus of our cells and damaging the DNA. And I think most people, if I told you here, come use this product that causes DNA damage in your skin cells, most people would not want to do that. But yet we still sit out in the sun, we tan, and that's exactly what is happening. But even beyond that, the UV radiation causes free radicals to form. And these free radicals, they just cause mayhem all around indiscriminately in our bodies and also to our skin cells. And so the free oxygen radicals need to be bound up because they cause damage. And we also get these from pollution and also aging. So that is why antioxidants can be so important. And I do love a vitamin C serum on the skin, but it goes beyond that. You really need to think about your diet. What antioxidant rich foods are you eating? This is where berries and dark leafy vegetables can really play a role. Again, a plant forward diet, the Mediterranean diet is wonderful for this, but making sure you're eating foods rich in antioxidants, that your diet is nutritious and includes a variety of fresh foods. So that is super key and super important as well. One of the things I love talking to Dr. Goldberg about is how aesthetic physicians like myself and Dr. Goldberg are really taking a more holistic approach to, I hate the word, but anti-aging. And he uses this term beauty span, increasing our beauty span because we want to look good, we want to feel good. But unfortunately, the aesthetic world, it seems like it's gone crazy and people are looking very bizarre. They don't look like themselves. And I don't think that was their intention when they started. But unfortunately, you've got everyone, it seems like anyone and everyone's cousin doing Botox and fillers and all these aesthetic treatments. But what happens is it becomes very piecemeal. You go here and you say, I don't like these lines, and they fix that. And then you go and you say, I want bigger lips, and they give you bigger lips. And then you say, well, I don't like these lines over here, and they fix that. But unfortunately, there's no one person who's really trained in aesthetics taking a global approach, assessing you all around your lifestyle, your appearance, your age, your health, all of that, and giving you guidance. And that's really where one of these physicians in the core for aesthetics, like a plastic surgeon, dermatologist, can really play an important role because instead of piecemealing these things, instead of someone coming in saying, I want bigger lips, and you give them bigger lips, you're actually looking at the person globally, sort of their global aesthetics. Bigger lips may be popular, but they don't belong on everyone. And there's a point where the lips get too big, it doesn't look normal, it doesn't look natural. And I think most people aren't going for that look. So you need to find someone who their aesthetic goal matches yours. And ideally, they are looking at you from a global aesthetic perspective. They're not just giving you whatever you come in asking for because it may not be right for you. It may not be in balance with your face and may not be the right treatment. And I'll tell patients no or say, I don't think that's a good option. And for some people that upsets them and they want that. And I tell them, I'm sure you'll find someone who will take your money and will do it for you, but I just don't think it's the right treatment for you. And I don't think you're going to get the desired result. So see someone who takes a more global approach, someone who's willing to work with you and realizes that these aren't quick fixes. This is really a long-term relationship with your aesthetic provider, your dermatologist or plastic surgeon to really get the best results if you want timeless, natural results, which is really what I'm about, what I'm after personally, and what I love to give my patients is that I'm not trying to make them a whole different person. That is not me, but I'm trying to help give them this sort of elegance, this timeless beauty. I'm not trying to make them look like they were 20. I'm just trying to help their outside look beautiful and radiant to match their inside. So, just to recap, there are really four core principles for this aesthetic span of timeless elegance and beauty. So, number one is lifestyle. Number two is sun protection, UV radiation. This is one of the main drivers of aging in our skin or visible aging. And I see this all the time in my patients if I'm doing a skin check on them. Their stomachs typically look significantly, maybe even decades younger than the skin on their body that is routinely exposed to the sun. Maybe it's their forearms or their legs if they wore shorts a lot. And I can usually see a very clear delineation between the skin on their stomach versus the areas that are sun exposing. You can even see this perhaps on your own skin. So we know that sun protection, you've got to do it if you want timeless, ageless skin and you want a long aesthetic span or beauty span. Number three is think long term. So start before you need it. Start sooner than you think you need it. Focus on prevention. Think of this like a bank account with compounding interest. The sooner you start, the better. You can put less money in and it's going to grow over time. Those benefits, if you get 1% better with your health in your 20s, that's a huge difference in your 50s, 60s, 70s. Of course, it's never too late though, but the sooner you can start, the better. I feel like I started in my 40s. So there we go. I didn't even start in my 20s, but that's why I'm on a mission now to help you all and everyone listening. And the last is to just seek someone who is providing ethical care. Make sure you know who is providing this care for you. There are so many med spas and Botox places you can just pop into and get something done or get some filler done at your hairdressers. But this isn't really the best option. You should think of your aesthetic span, your aesthetic look as something global. It's more than just stamping out this problem, this line, this volume issue. It's more about looking at your aesthetics globally and getting sort of the big picture. And this is where someone who has ample training in aesthetics, like a plastic surgeon or board certified dermatologist, really comes into play and really can make an impactful difference, save you money in the long run. They can tell you whether you really need something or not. And they can help you plan out sort of steps and sort of a long term care plan rather than just stamping out problems as you see them pop up when you look in the mirror. I strongly believe in that. I think training matters. I see so many complications, and it really breaks my heart that people come to me after they've had the problem somewhere else. And I just wish they would have come to me in the first place, right? So I just think seeing someone really trained in aesthetics, like a plastic surgeon or dermatologist, will give you a more natural look in the long run and can probably help you avoid unnecessary treatments or procedures along the way. If you want to hear my full episode about Beauty Span with Dr. Cory Goldberg, I highly recommend it. Be sure to check it out on this link here, and I will see you next week.